So let's get started. Let me try that again. Hey guys, I wanted to talk about the food I had while I was at Walt Disney World this time. Now, before I went, I had made a list, and you can check out that video about things that I planned on eating, but to be fair, I didn't actually eat a lot of them. Let me explain a little bit why. First off, it was really, really hot. And when it's really, really hot, carbs don't really sound great, and you don't really get hungry overall. So I didn't really check off a lot of things on my list, but I did have some really good food while I was there. Also, I'm gonna go through where I ate that you can use your annual pass and get a discount for. So look for this little icon when I put up the names for each restaurant. So let's get started. The first place I went was Disney Springs, and I went to D-Luxe Burger where I had the barbecue burger. Now this was really good. I had heard great things about D-Luxe Burger. It is kind of more a counter service option, so you kind of just walk up and order. They do have mobile order, which is great. I didn't use it because I wasn't too sure and there wasn't really a line. So you order your burger, it's really good. It's a little bit pricey because you don't get fries with the burger, but the fries are big enough that you could just share a bunch of them with the family. So I just had the burger. It was, again, very, very good, very tasty. You can see from the photos, I really enjoyed it. After I was at Disney Springs, I headed to Magic Kingdom, and I didn't really eat anything because I had made a reservation for the Happily Ever After dessert party, which takes place in Tomorrowland Terrace. So it's a little bit pricey, but you get dessert and you get a good place to stand for the fireworks. Now, there's two tiers you get based on where you want to stand. I chose the lesser of the two tiers, and it was great. The fireworks were great. It was an awesome way to watch them. I highly recommend it. Again, it does get pricey though if you're going to be in a group, but if you really want to get a good spot for Happily Ever After, it's probably a good thing to do at least once. And the desserts weren't that bad. They had some great chocolate covered strawberries. They made these s'mores where they roasted marshmallows over sterno and then rolled it in chocolate crumbles and then rolled it in graham cracker crumbles on a skewer. It was really, really good. I highly recommend that. I had a good time with that. The next day, I went over to Animal Kingdom where I didn't really have anything to eat in the morning, but then I headed to Epcot and I had a reservation in the Germany Pavilion at Beer Garden. Now, Beer Garden is a buffet and it's family style, so they sit 10 of you to a table. So I was sat with some other people, which is great. They were DVC members, so I was talking to them about what Disney Vacation Club is about, what it's like. They were answering some of my questions as I had looked into it a bit and had some questions, so it was really cool experience. The buffet food was really good. It is a little bit pricey again because it is a buffet. Buffets in Disney World tend to be a little bit more expensive, but you do get a drink included and it's all you can eat. So if you plan one, and then you just eat a lot, it fills you up for most of the day, which is what occurred for me. Now, I was a little bit disappointed. They didn't have the noodle gratin on the menu, which is what I had posted about in my other video, so that was a little bit of a disappointment, but otherwise, it was a really good experience and something I would do again. There's tons of food options at Epcot, so you can pick and choose. I probably won't go back there immediately, but it was a nice atmosphere. They had some great live entertainment and just, it's a really cool thing to check out, especially if kids, they probably would really enjoy it because there's entertainment while they're eating. Later that night, I did the Frozen Ever After dessert party in the World Showcase. So this is similar to the Happily Ever After dessert party. It's a little bit more, but you do get served alcohol, so that's a plus. The desserts weren't as good though. I thought they were okay. There were some like Rice Krispie treats and some stuff like that. There was like a s'mores pudding kind of thing. Not really a pudding, it was like a cake or I don't know what you would call it. The highlight of it was this nitro popcorn where they take caramel corn, they dip it in liquid nitrogen, and then they put it in a cone for you and it smokes, right? The tarts were okay. Just wasn't as good as Happily Ever Afters, but again, you get a prime seat for Illuminations. Now, the day I was there, it had been raining, so they actually moved us indoors. Normally, you have tables set up along World Showcase by the lake, and you sit there and you just stay there for the fireworks. Well, we were inside above the Frozen ride, and then they walked us out to the spot to watch the fireworks, and then we got to go ride the Frozen ride, which is also a benefit to this. You don't have to worry about a fast pass. You literally get to walk right after the fireworks to ride the ride, get to really quick because there's only, I don't know, about 100 of you to do it, and you walk out of the park and you kind of defeat the crowds because they've all left at that point because the park's closed after Illuminations. So again, if you have family, it's probably a good thing to do once. It's great for little kids. There are a lot of little kids at this one because it's Frozen themed. There aren't any characters there. That would have been a really cool experience to have Anna and Elsa there to meet with the kids and stuff like that, but there really wasn't room. And then I guess if it's outside, it'd probably be tricky because people would see them. And anyway, it would have been a cool add-on, but it was still good regardless. And I got a good viewing spot for Illuminations. So the next day I was back at Magic Kingdom and I went to Gaston's Tavern late in the morning to have the cinnamon roll, which was again on my list. So I had the cinnamon roll and LeFou's brew. Now the cinnamon roll is great. It's huge, it was pretty filling, but it wasn't sicky sweet, so I really enjoyed it. LeFou's brew kind of made me nervous because while I like the idea of a cold apple drink with a marshmallow syrup added to it, the passion fruit whipped topping didn't really interest me that much, and it kind of thought it would stand out. But it actually does blend really well, and it was a good way to cool off because again, it was really hot while I was there. I also had a dining reservation that day over at the Plaza restaurant. So, like you're probably noticing the trend, I had a dining reservation usually one per day, which was great. I had a way to sit down in the mid-afternoon, I got a decent sized meal in air conditioning, and it broke up the day. So I highly recommend doing that. The 2 or 3 o'clock hour usually is pretty open. It's because everyone's trying to stick to their noon lunchtime schedule. But while I was there, I had a lighter meal. I actually ordered 2 appetizers. So I had the Plaza loaded fries, which used to be called Figaro fries, and I'd mentioned those. They're just fries with like a ranch sauce and some bacon. They were really good and tasty and filling. And I had the wedge salad, which was a great compliment for that. So it was a full meal with 2 appetizers. It wasn't as pricey because that was the way it was. And it was a good experience. Plaza Restaurant's good. I'd go back there again. In the afternoon, I went over to Joffrey's Revive and I did try that Mission to S'mores latte. That was pretty good. It wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. It didn't really have a lot of s'mores taste, but it was coffee. It was kind of a blended coffee drink. It's not quite like a Frappuccino. I don't know, it's more icy, I guess is the best way to say it. But again, it was a great way to cool off. Finally at Magic Kingdom, which I'm realizing this is the day I ate the most apparently, I headed over to Aloha Isle to finally have my first Dole Whip. So like I mentioned before, I had never actually had Dole Whip. I don't know how it happened. I asked my parents about it. They weren't sure because I've always liked pineapple. So I had the pineapple vanilla swirl in a cup. I avoided the pineapple upside down cake because again, carbs just did not sound good. So it was good. I enjoyed it. And it's a great way to cool off. I get why people really enjoy it and why they love it. So highly recommend that too. It's not too expensive either. And it's a little bit different than just normal ice cream. So I had finished my day at Magic Kingdom because I'd been there basically 2 days at this point, and I went back to my resort to cool off a bit and shower, and the temperatures had dropped because it had rained, so it was about 77 degrees and not that humid. Like I mentioned previously, I headed to Animal Kingdom that night. So when I went there, I was like, I'll go check out one of the lounges, right? And I headed over to Nomad Lounge because that was on my list. Now the item that I was hoping to get, a specific kind of poutine, was not on the menu anymore, which is a little bit of a bummer, but I ordered their truffle poutine. And so that was truffle tamar cheese, I think I'm saying that right, fries, crispy onions, and black truffle salt. That was really good. It's a little bit more of an adult take on fries and poutine, but it was enough to share, or a good sized meal for one. And then I did order a drink while I was there, and I got the Annapurna Zing. So that was Bombay Sapphire East Gin, passion fruit puree, mint, simple syrup, and lime juice, topped with ginger beer and a glowing lotus flower. So it kind of reminded me like it was gonna be like a Moscow Mule, and that's kind of what it was. The mint scared me at first, and I asked the waitress how minty it was gonna be, and she said it was more just a decoration, which it was. I don't like mint in drinks a lot. I kind of think it overpowers the drink, so I wanted to avoid that, and I didn't taste it really at all. Drink was a little bit pricey because it literally came with a glowing lotus leaf that you could take home, but that was cool. It's a cool memento. And if you're gonna go see Rivers of Light, where there are the lotus leaves, it's a little bit fitting, right? Nomad Lounge was a really great atmosphere because you're out on the deck. It was cooler that night, so it's a great date night option too if you're looking for that. I think that would be a really neat option to do at night because you get to see Animal Kingdom all lit up with the different colors. Yeah, highly recommend that. So the next day I was at Hollywood Studios, and I had made a reservation for the late afternoon again, and this time I was at Mama Melrose's Ristorante Italiano. Now, on Disney Food Blog, they had talked about the meal that I wanted here, and this is why I made that reservation. I actually changed it right before I left because they had something on the menu that I was really excited for, and that was their charred strip steak, which is 4-cheese macaroni with pancetta, aged balsamic shallot butter, and Chianti wine reduction on a strip steak. It was heavenly. I can't describe it any other way. It was really good. Now, one thing to know about Mama Melrose too is I think it is part of their Fantasmic dinner package. So it might be worth picking that up and then going to see Fantasmic because you get reserved seats for that. They're right next to the Fast Pass seats, so you don't really need to get them because it might end up being a little bit more, but you get I think you get an appetizer, an entree, and maybe a dessert or a drink with that package. So it probably balances out the price a little bit. But that was a really good meal and I highly recommend it. It was my favorite meal while I was there. My last day I was back at Epcot and I had made my only breakfast reservation. So I typically had done Belvitas and coffee on the way to the parks. I mentioned that. I wasn't gonna pay for breakfast it just gets too expensive. But I had made a reservation at Garden Grill in the Land Pavilion where they have Chippendale's Harvest Feast. And so it's cool, you kind of are on this slow rotating platform and you get to overlook living with the land as you do that. And it's family style, so it's a little bit more like a buffet, so again, a little bit pricier, but you get a ton of food. So you get a sticky bun that's huge, and I ate probably half of it when I really shouldn't have, but it was really good because it was light and flaky. It wasn't heavy at all. And you get fruit and you get juice. And then they bring out a skillet full of Mickey waffles, eggs, bacon, sausage, potatoes. It was just a ton of food, and I felt really guilty for having leftovers and not having anything to do with them. So that aside, it was a really, really good experience. Oh, and the waffles get that chocolate hazelnut sauce, which is kind of like a Nutella. Really good, kind of adds a sweetness to them without it being too sweet. I didn't even use syrup, which is usually my go-to for waffles, but that was a really good option. And something fun because your kids can also meet some characters. So there's Chip, Dale, Pluto, Mickey, and they're all kind of in their harvest gear too, which is a neat little thing if you want to avoid having to wait in line for the characters. Then the last thing I got later in the day, which again was to cool off, because I really wanted to try that beignet ice cream sandwich in the French Pavilion, but the carbs just didn't sound appetizing. Again, I'm sorry I'm being repetitive, but that was just kind of the theme of this trip. But I did head over to the France Pavilion where I did get an ice cream crepe. And that was good. It was light, I had vanilla ice cream on top of it, and it was just a good way to cool off. I actually sat in the shade and it wasn't too hot, even though it was a really hot day. So it felt good at that point to just sit down and enjoy that. Because at that time, I was about ready to head home and be done with it. I was tired of crowds, and I was tired of the heat. So those were the foods that I enjoyed and had. There were a couple other things. I got a beer in England and some other coffee every once in a while. But those were the things that really stood out and the things I liked and what I thought about them. Let me know if you liked any of those. Have you tried any of those? What's your go-to restaurant? I'm looking forward to going back next time and trying different restaurants, trying different foods and different experiences. I'm actually probably gonna be there for Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party where there's a lot of special food, so that's really exciting. So make sure you're subscribed because I'll keep talking about that and have more stuff specifically after that trip and leading up to that trip. You won't wanna miss out on that. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments that you were here and what else you want me to talk about. And let me know what your favorite thing was too. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter because I've been posting photos from my trip, which is awesome, and I enjoy interacting with you on there. And until next time, have a great week, everyone.